You're welcome back. It's still Plus Politics, and my name is Nyamgul Agaji. The leaders of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, made good their threats today when they stormed the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to protest against the outcome of the February 25 presidential election, which INEC says was won by the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. The electoral body had declared Shuaibu Bola Ahmed Tinubu of APC as the winner of the election, having polled total votes of 8,794,726 to defeat his closest rival and the presidential candidate of PDP, Atiku Abubakar, who scored 6,984,520 votes, while Peter Obi of Labour Party polled 6,101,533 votes. However, the main opposition party accused INEC of compromise and described the election as the worst election Nigeria ever witnessed since the return of democracy in 1999. Atiku Abubakar today said the protests will continue every day or every other day. We're being joined by John Shuaibu. Shuaibu is a member of PDP Presidential Campaign Council. He joins us via Zoom from Abuja. Welcome to Plus Politics, John.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Good. Well, your principal, Atiku Abubakar, leads other PDP members in protest to INEC's headquarters in Abuja over the outcome of the 2023 presidential election, demanding, among other things, for the commission to cancel the election. He has also said that the all-black protests he and other members of the party embarked upon at the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission would continue for a long time. Is this still the position of the party at this time we're having this program?
Well, from what was said today at the protest, the party is actually ready to ensure that democracy is entrenched and the rule of law based on what was passed, especially on the Electoral Act, is honored. Right? Now, if you have to ask me, the question I would like to ask everyone is this. Beyond PDP, this is about Nigeria we're talking about. We're talking about a nation that's bleeding. We're talking about a nation that, just like Bob Marley's son said, are you satisfied with the life you're living? That's a question we need to ask ourselves first. The life we are right now, the present state of Nigeria, based on our democracy, you can say that Nigerians are being raped democratically from exercising their right to ensure that the needful is done by INEC. That led to the protest today. Because this is about Nigeria, it's not talking about an individual. In the last press conference that Elijah Abubakar had, he said it's all about democracy and entrenching democracy in this country. Because if you allow illegality to stay, then you've built a wrong foundation already. Because the legitimacy of this election is being questioned by almost everyone. It's just like the history we have in 1927, 1929 in Liberia, where one Charles D.B. King allotted a vote of 9,000 to his opponent, and he gave himself 34,000 out of 15,000 registered voters. You can see that was the worst election and which was recorded in Guinness Book of Records. So for us, Nigeria, we have a stake. We need to ensure such a rape does not happen in Nigeria. That is why this step must be taken. That is why we will ensure that legitimacy is given to whoever wins, not an illegitimate government that will come into being because the rule of law was not followed by INEC.
Well, you're talking about Nigeria, not just PDP, I hope. What if, after everything, and INEC goes back to follow the process that it should have followed and PDP still loses? What is the game plan?
Then if fair is fair, when it's transparent, when you're beaten fair and square, you know you're beaten. But when you're beaten illegally, when you're being tortured illegally, you can't tell me that you agree. In a fair contest, there should be fairness. Now, that fairness has been eroded by the fact that INEC refused to follow their own law that they gave. In fact, the chairman himself says several times that you must not even allow your PO to leave your polling unit. I can tell you my own case, right? In my own polling unit, till up to 2 a.m., we could not upload. everything had to be moved to the coalition center, right? The man, I pitied that copper that day because people were almost getting violent that he's not going to leave because INEC chairman gave a directive. Now, the same INEC chairman could not even honor his own directive by ensuring that the needful is done. When he was questioned, I remember what during that coalition, he asked a Kanu rec to return back and recalculate. Why couldn't he wait? At least we have a 7-day window where they could review the results based on concerns raised by even international organizations, which have become a laughing stock to right now in the world. You know, can't he wait for 7 days and ensure the needful is done? Interrogate it. Why were we not able to upload the results as in real time? That's the question, and that is why it's so painful. You know, if you are being fair and square. So the INEC chairman owes Nigeria. He owes every one of us to ensure that the needful is done. 400 billion was not wasted for this kind of sham that took place last week.
Okay, but you did say that in your polling unit, up to 2 a.m., the results, you couldn't upload the results. That means the person was trying frantically. The INEC official there was trying frantically to upload these results, but he couldn't. Why are we blaming only Yakubu and not the beavers? Maybe a technical problem now.
We were told that everything was functional, everything was tested and tried.
Okay.
SPO continually gave wrong password. We're told we're frozen out. Remember, there was a new news item that was spreading that night that INEC has shut down the system, but they said no, they didn't shut it down. You can upload now and all that. SPOs kept calling, oh, we'll give you this code, try it again. None worked. None worked. So that for me, there was a source of concern because if we need to now go to the World Coalition Center to do the needful, then you now know you have a problem because you can't have real-time results from our polling units. That's why we're having all this mess we're having today.
Okay.
And that is what PDP is protesting about.
Okay, what alternative do we have to the cancellation of the entire process? Because among other things that you are asking at this protest is that the result or the process itself be cancelled totally. What alternatives do we have?
Listen, for me personally, what we need to do is there's not too much for us to sacrifice to have a legitimate government in place to ensure our rights are enforced. Because the moment you take a right of a citizen in this kind of dispensation, what you have actually done, you have committed murder against him, right? Fundamentally. So, what is stopping us from reinvesting? Because I know they have most of the equipment. All they need to do is to deploy manpower. Giving out another 200 billion is not too much for a nation like Nigeria. It's not too much for a nation like Nigeria. So we can do the needful. So we can be respected in the Committee of Nations. We are lacking stock across the world. If you read what newspapers are saying about us, about what with the economists, you see the New York Times, the IRI, NDI, what they are talking about us. So you will see that we need to do what is right. Let people honor, because our president, if we don't have the right president, will not give us that legitimacy about no honor. And you and I as a Nigerian will be proud to have a president like that came on board on an illegitimate ground. So that is why we need to ensure that we do what is right, no matter what sacrifice. No sacrifice is too much for the right thing to be done concerning this election.
Okay. Well, I'm worried about the process itself. We remember what happened at NSAS. It wasn't supposed to be a violent thing, but it was hijacked by hoodlums. So how do you intend to sustain your own protest and also keep it from being hijacked by hoodlums?
Well, the good thing about PDP is that PDP is orderly. We're not known for violence. When we lost in 2019, we didn't go violent. In fact, there was no protest like this, even though at that time there was also concern concerning the results. That was challenged in the courts. There was concern, but nobody went on this kind of protest, large-scale protest, in which even though every opposition, even APC members, I know of APC members my friend, they said, we know that this election is flawed, heavily flawed. It's not just about PDP. So if we can sustain it, Nigerians come out, speak concerning this, speak to this, to this sham of an election that took place on 25th, where our rights have been taken, where we don't have a voice again. The truth is this: the moment we don't do the needful, then your voice has been taken. And when your voice is taken, then your right as a human being has been taken to exist and to have a say in who governs you in this country.
But elections are coming again on Saturday, and you are doing protests. How will you combine the two? How are you preparing for Saturday's election? Or are you not concerned about Saturday's election? You're just waiting for the presidential to be cancelled or to be for the right thing to be done? Because if you sustain the protest, I see it as a distraction. Instead of preparing for the next election, you are protesting. How are you going to combine that?
It is not too late for the INEC chairman to do the needful. It is not too late. We're still within that window. It's not too late for him to do the needful. A review has been called the day people started protesting, the day our national agent, Senator Dilo Milayo, and others walked out of that collation center. If they had decided to sit down, review it, and address the question of people concerning the legitimacy of the result being posted, or they are saying, or the announcement being made, right, based on the flouting of the rules of INEC, if they have done the needful, we'll be where we are today. So, for me as an individual and a stakeholder in this nation, I believe that the coming Saturday 11th election is not for this protest, it's not a distraction, rather it will also strengthen it. But then, we should look at it, because what happened now to actually work in state, where the state governors also have the power to do anything they like, and they say go to court. All right? So, if we can't address that now and ensure that we sustain it, INEC on their toes. But the funny thing about this thing is this: the INEC chairman came and said, "Oh, we will repeat the same thing." So why did you do it in the presidential, which actually is a collective of what Nigerians actually want for their nation, because we have a presidential kind of system. So if you destroy that, then what happens at the state level, at the local government, at the state level? So for me, I'm not seeing it as a distraction. I see it as strengthening democracy, as also ensuring that this kind of situation does not even arise in the governorship election.
Interesting. But why did you decide to take the part of protest instead of going to the courts? Why protest?
There's a right for an individual, when your right is trampled upon, to voice out. You can speak. While you are being beaten, you can still be speaking. All right? Why the law take its place? There's no one preempting what the law court will say or otherwise. But we have a right as people to speak out. You can't be beaten at home and then you can't speak. When somebody is beating you, you still have the right to speak. All right? To voice your concern that you are beating me too much. Even before your dad, for instance, in a family of 5, before the dad comes to judge you, you keep shouting, "Oh, my brother, don't beat me because you are bigger than me." You still have to speak. Even if you are the right figure of your right. So we're speaking to show as a people, as Nigerians, that have the right to say that what is going on or what happened is unjust, is uncalled for, I don't know, because right now I'm too saddened.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the legitimate way to fight any injustice is in the court of law. So why did you resort to protest? Because protest is not supposed to be what will give you what you want. It's the court of law. Why are you not so serious in the courts of law and leaving the law to take its course?
Okay, let me say this. We saw what happened in Osun, right? Where we have some kind of blue judgment. We saw it happen there. And judiciary, for me, let me not say anything here, because judiciary have not shown us that they are up to it. Like we put them through the millstone of transparency and integrity, whether they can stand it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say, but we know what will happen, and we know. And when they say, when we talk about the rights of people and judiciary, they will tell you Supreme Court has given judgment. You see, in my own thinking, as an individual, what will just happen is this: in Nigeria, they will tell you they will commit wrong. They will tell you go to court. And who pays the piper probably dictates the tune. Who knows? But I will tell you what: the judicial will do us, Nigerians will do theirs. Then let us put it on a scale. Oh,
in other words, you don't have confidence in the judiciary anymore. And by the way, the Nigerian Bar Association president, Yakubu Mekiao, I don't know how to pronounce that. Okay, he's called INEC 80% for its handling of the February 25 presidential and National Assembly elections. Does that give you any concern from what you were saying?
It gives me concern. If I'm in a position to withdraw his license, I will do that. Unless it's not being truthful. Okay. You know, our conscience is a police we have as individuals. If someone can sit down and tell me he has conscience, then we'll say we have 80% success rate. Then that's a life from the pit of hell. Because you can't tell me we have 80% success, then we should allow the fraud that happened to take place. We should allow what happened to take place. How did he arrive at that? But I have a right as a citizen to say something is wrong. Because his NBA chairman does not give him the right to decide what happens to Nigerians. It does not give him the right. We are beneficiaries. We can see what happened. We saw it. We are partakers of it. We've seen different scenarios. We've seen where, goons carrying ballot papers, where people have been threatened not to vote in certain polling units in Lagos. We've seen where actual burning of materials were done. We've seen where we have one individual signing for 3 parties and other parties. Is that an election?
But INEC chairman has blamed the infractions experienced in the February 25 election on some irresponsible staff, as he calls them, and has promised that none of them will be a part of Saturday's election. Does that give you more confidence?
No confidence at all. I don't have confidence in that. You can't tell me you're going to punish someone when you are the chief culprit. Who's in charge? He's the head. When the head is bad, then the body is worse. He's the head. First of all, he needs to get himself out. By now, if he has conscience, if he loves Nigeria, he should have put in his resignation and say, look, I've failed Nigerians. Then I'm getting out of this system.
Okay.
He should report himself, recluse himself from this process.
Okay.
And say, look, I'm giving up. Let somebody competent enough to come over.
Okay, calm down. Because now we're rounding off, and I'd like you to say something to Nigerians, because we shouldn't go into Saturday's election as heated up as this. So talk to Nigerians as a final word, very shortly or very briefly before we wrap up.
Okay, Nigerians, this is about your life, your destiny. Like Bob Marley said, are you not tired of living? Are you satisfied with the living you are right now? But are you satisfied with the process? Can you rightly say that you can talk in Committee of Nations and say, look, you have a Nigerian president? Can you say that this election is something that met at least minimum requirement of say 50%? No. So what I ask is this: please, Nigerians, speak out. Let the world know that what we've gone through in the last few days is just pure illegitimacy. Okay. But then, don't go violent. Do it peacefully. Ensure you are heard, because I know we all owe a stake in Nigeria. It does not belong to few individuals that have the power to rule.
Thank you very much, John, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we just say good luck to you and your party, and may the best man win.
Thank you very much. Okay. My pleasure. Nigeria will win.
Okay, we were talking to John Shuaibu, a member of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, and we were talking about the protest that PDP and other individuals is having at the INEC headquarters in Abuja. and they're saying it's going to continue until justice is done. That's the size of our package tonight, and we do hope that we'll meet again tomorrow. Have a wonderful night. Bye.